Greetings everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'm your host, Captain Rye, and today's video is me continuing the Road to the Conqueror series here in World Warships. This time I'm in the Tier 9 British battleship, the HMS Lion. And this lion still has claws, and they are as long and sharp as any other in the game. As the battle gets underway, it's North, it's Domination match mode, my favorite match mode on this particular map, and I've spawned near the C cap point. Now, the rest of the team is going to go ahead and push towards B and towards A. This is not unusual to see on this map, no matter what side you spawn on. But what is unusual is the number of enemies who are going to head towards the C and D cap point. As you can see, there's nobody on my team heading towards the D cap point. And at this point, there's nobody headed towards C either. Now I'm paying attention to the minimap here, and I'm looking very carefully to determine if maybe I should head off to the C cap point. In the meantime, I'm going to get shots out here. Yes, it's high explosive, and it's on a cruiser. Considering I had such good success with high explosive on the Monarch, I figured I might as well try it. Now, the Lion at Tier 9 is effectively just a larger version with bigger guns of the Monarch, which is just a bigger gunned version of the KGV. As you can see, the architecture of the ship, the styling, the shape, pretty much even the layout, everything is basically just a bigger version of the KGV. However, the Monarch gets 16-inch guns. So she is at the very least on par with the damage and hitting power of the Iowa, the American Tier 9. And so the armor piercing out of these guns is actually incredibly good. But of course you also have the fire starting capability of the British line with the 16-inch guns as well. You also have the British heel, which is also incredibly good. Now, this ship is the last ship in the British line that has the Scout Spotter. Yes, you've made it all the way to Tier 9, and then the Conqueror at Tier 10, well, she doesn't get it. So you'll notice that all the way up to this point, I haven't been running the dual catapult skill, for the simplest reason that once you hit Tier 10, there's no use for it. It's a wasted skill, considering there's no Scout Spotter, no catapult fighter on that ship. Enemy Neptune comes out from behind that island and makes a big mistake by sailing basically broadside onto me, and I punish him with a nice fat citadel. As I was saying before, the armor piercing on this ship is actually pretty decent. Now, of course, I am only shooting at cruisers, but hey, you know what? That's what battleships love to do with their armor piercing. Now this Neptune is going to make another fatal mistake here as he turns around broadside on, and you know what he's doing there? He's actually getting his torpedoes away. Well, hopefully he got those torpedoes away and he manages to hit me, because he is dead and no longer a threat as far as continued damage output. But again, like I said, you know what he was doing there was getting torpedoes away. So there was the first set from one side, and we should be seeing the second set from the other side if he got them away soon enough. Now I'm going to go ahead and push up here into the C cap point. I'm not alone anymore. We've got a friendly destroyer pushing up with me. And yes, there are the second set of torpedoes, but of course, you can see I simply changed my course and speed, and so all those torpedoes managed to miss me. And fortunately, being a maneuverable bugger, the friendly destroyer also manages to avoid them. Enemy Minotaur is turning broadside onto me. He doesn't see me yet, so I managed to punish him with the armor piercing. Again, the armor piercing on these ships is pretty good. So if you find yourself up here, don't just sit there and spam the high explosive. You certainly can and can do quite the damage, but if you've got yourself broadside cruiser targets out there, especially in a game that's cruiser heavy, go ahead and load that armor piercing. You will do an incredible amount of damage. Now that Minotaur still broadside doesn't know that I'm back here because I haven't been detected, and he's down for the count as well. So that marks 2 kills for me in this battle. And now my team is positively in the lead, and that's a good thing. If you pay attention to the minimap, and we'll see this pop up in chat, on the minimap over at D4, there is a bit of a Charlie Foxtrot going on. Not sure why all of the rest of the team's battleships decided that they needed to cluster up very close together, but they are very close together, which is basically a destroyer's wet dream. Fortunately for my team, there's only 1 destroyer left alive on the enemy team. But, unfortunately, he is a sneaky Japanese destroyer. Dodge torpedoes coming in there. I'm not sure where those came from. Those could have been from the Minotaur. Switch back over to high explosive as I've got battleships coming at me that are effectively bow on. They're not broadside or broadside enough for the armor piercing to do as good a job. Managed to set that North Carolina on fire, and he's put that fire out. Now, the American damage control does last quite a substantial amount of time. But this is a battleship shooting this high explosive, which means basically by the time you pop your damage control after that fire has started, I will have reloaded and gotten off shots again. Your damage control will likely be running out. Now my team has lost 2 more ships very close together, which is keeping the enemy team in this game just a little bit longer. As you can see there, they have managed to secure the A cap point, but my team holds D, C, and B. And this is going to prove to be the clinch pin at the end of this game here for my team. Simply because we have 3 of the 4 cap points, and we're going to hold them for so long. Not only that, we're still fighting for A, so we're still contesting it. Now I'm moving forward here, not necessarily the best move on my part, as I am taking some damage, but I'm angled pretty well. And when you're angled, these ships aren't as squishy, but boy, you present more than 20% of your broadside, and you suddenly become very, very easy to kill, very easy to citadel, as we will see later in this game. That North Carolina is pretty much down thanks to our friendly Russian destroyer spamming away with his high explosive, because Russian destroyer is OP, as we all know. Now, I still have the high explosive loaded, and I really wish I had been able to switch over to the armor piercing for this shot, because there is a broadside Iowa, and I have a sneaking suspicion that the armor piercing here would have done an incredibly high damage job. However, the high explosive does set him on fire, so with any luck, he'll continue to burn for just a little bit. Switching over to the armor piercing because I have a battleship coming around this island. Now, this battleship is going to come around slightly broadside onto me. Friendly destroyer gets taken out from the sound of it. That's unfortunate for me. It would have been nice to have him. Yes, this battleship looks like a Kurfürst out there. Is broadside on. And he is turning in though, so all of those shots unfortunately bounce. This is pretty typical of battleship armor piercing, and that's why you absolutely have to have good shots with your broadside. Now, of course, you can see his secondaries coming in here, and they are doing a pretty decent job of hitting me, but given the concentration, I'm not sure if he is running a secondary build where he can focus it down, manual secondaries. But nonetheless, those secondaries really did cause a significant problem to me. And I'm being shot at now by a Monarch, and this Monarch is proving to be quite the nuisance as he is spamming high explosive at me because British battleships, and so I am burning. But you can see how much health I can repair here with that very, very OP damage control and repair ability. So I get more shots off of that Kurfürst, managed to set yet another fire, and considering how many times that guy's been on fire, I'm kind of hoping that that fire will burn for at least a little bit, but looking at the damage counter, it looks like no, he's managed to put that fire out as well. However, German battleships, very short damage control period compared to other battleships, which means if I go ahead and get more shots out there and actually set them on fire again, whatever fires I set should burn. So at this point, it comes down to RNG's whether or not I'm going to set those fires. And unfortunately, all of my high explosive shots, well, not all of them, a good number of them actually hit, but no fires set. That's really disappointing. I'm switching back over to the armor piercing, partly because that battleship is broadside onto me while he runs away, but also because I've got a couple of other ships pushing up here who are also broadside, including an Iowa. Now, this Iowa and I are going to get into it, and he's got more health than I do. He's also got nice big 16-inch guns, and you'll notice the angle that I'm presenting to him. He's able to get those shots normalized on me and do a pretty substantial amount of damage. And we'll see here as he closes in, the 16-inch guns are able to penetrate the bow on this ship very easily because it isn't a very angled bow. End up eating a torpedo because I decided to start moving forward a little too soon there after hitting the island. And that torpedo is, of course, from that enemy destroyer. And there's what I was saying about the normalization and 20% of your broadside. That Iowa managed to hit my Citadel hard there based on the angle I'm looking at, based on the way the bow is shaped. Pretty much nice flat surface for him to penetrate. Now my secondaries are blazing away. I'm just going to go ahead and close that. I might as well go for it. At this point, my team is up on points. We're in the 900s bracket, while the enemy team is down at the 200s bracket. That's a pretty ridiculous difference. I've got a broadside Monarch down there. I'm going to go ahead and shoot at him since the armor piercing is loaded, and the Iowa's not presenting me a very good broadside. However, now I'm going to try and close in for the ram, and now I've got broadside Iowa to shoot at. Coulda, shoulda, woulda, saved my shots. But rear turret lined up, managed to double Citadel him, very efficient. Caused a significant amount of damage, but now I'm broadside to a Monarch, and if he's smart, he'd load armor piercing and kill me right away. But I've also got this Iowa, and he's going to turn, and he's got shots. Rear shots hit me, but don't kill me outright. Come on, get shots out there. Nope, they all bounced, and the Iowa finishes me off. But my team still up on points. We're, again, in the 900 bracket, and the enemy team has only just barely reaching up to the 300 point bracket. So we have a commanding lead here by more than 600 points. Really, all we need to do, and considering that we still have 2 caps, is survive. But looking at the situation here, we've got a ship that is definitely not going to survive, as he's got shots coming in from pretty much everybody. He's dodging torpedoes, shots in from the Iowa there, almost kill him. But look at that, he actually does manage to survive, and the enemy ship he was in close quarters with dies. So now the enemy team is down to just 4 ships. They've got 1 destroyer left, a very sneaky destroyer. And my team has got 5 ships left, but we're so high on points, really all we have to do at this point is survive to win the battle. That's it. If you find yourself in this situation at the end of a battle, paying attention to the number of points your team has, not the number of caps you have, not the number of ships the enemy team has, not the number of ships your team has. Just pay attention to the points your team has. And if you find yourself in this situation at the end of the battle, stop firing, go hide. That's all you need to do to win the game. You don't need to do any more damage. You don't need to provide any more kills. You just need to find a spot and go hide. So, most of our ships are doing just that. As you can see there, they've all got islands between them and the enemy, with the exception of that very, very low health ship. And of course, our Iowa. Now, our Iowa is broadside onto all those ships, and as you can see there, the enemy destroyer is putting torpedoes out, but fortunately, Iowa only eats 1, and he doesn't eat a massive Citadel from those battleships. So we have 2 ships that are out in the open, and the Iowa is returning fire. He's obviously detected if the destroyer is shooting at him, but it's going to be too late for the enemy team, and that's going to cement victory for my team. 210,000 damage, almost 211,000 damage in that game. Only got 2 kills there, earned myself a high caliber, but nice number of Citadels, not as many fires as the last one, and of course no Witherer this time around. Still though, all in all, I liked the ship. It felt very comfortable. If you're familiar with playing the Iowa, its strengths and weaknesses, the Lion at tier 9 is going to feel very familiar to you, and probably play it very similarly. Top of the team for XP earned at well over 2,000 base XP. Anyway, that's it for today's video, folks. If you liked the video, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment down below. If you'd like to get semi-regular channel news and updates, you can do so by liking and following me on Facebook. If you'd like to help support me in the channel, as well as gain additional supporter perks, you can do so by becoming my supporter on Patreon. If you've got a replay like this one that you'd like to see featured on my channel, you can send it to my email. And if you'd like to watch me play various games live, including World of Warships from time to time, albeit intermittently, you can do so by following me on Twitch. You can find the links for all of those in the video description down below. And as always, we'll see you next time. This is Captain Rye, signing off.